Hello and welcome. Today I'm adding Switchblade from the Pico Collection 1 to my ever-growing list where I rank every Evercade game ever. Switchblade was originally developed for the Atari ST in 1989 and was later ported to the Amiga, Amstrad CPC, C64, Spectrum, and then was later ported to various other consoles, including the Mega Drive, which is the version we have on the Evercade. It's a game I had little experience with, although I was aware of it and I had played it briefly. It was a case of very briefly, not enough to form an opinion, but it was one I wanted to play more of, so yeah, anyway, that's my nostalgia for it, I suppose. It was developed by Core Design, by the developer Simon Phipps, one of the co-creators of Rick Dangerous, and it's one he created in his own time and then presented to the company who then published it. So it's an old school solo dev kind of situation. Anyway, for the most part, the gameplay unfolds in an underground city. You play as Hero with an eye to notice that, or to make note of the fact that he is called Hero and he's not the hero, although he is the hero. You know what I mean? Loads of things do it. It's like I kind of sigh whenever I come across a game, film or story where the character is called Hero. Apparently he's the last of the Blade Knights and he's on a mission to recover the 16 fragments of the sacred Flame Blade, which was shattered by the entity known as Havoc, with a K on the end because, yeah, anyway. You went as Hero, you enter the Undercity and fight enemies and search for the pieces of the Flame Blade. Now that setup would make you think that it's going to be an action heavy game, possibly involving swords, and while it does have action, that's not the focus. It's more exploration based, and the combat is quite unique, let's put it that way. Anyway, let's get on to breaking down the various aspects of the game, starting with the
graphics.
Bearing in mind its origins on the Atari ST in 1989, it very much looks the part, as in it looks like a platformer from the Home Micro era. But I think it's a good looking one. The environments drip the kind of gritty atmosphere, almost like dystopian style atmosphere, and very industrial looking. The presentation has a bit of an anime influence, and yeah, visually it's not bad. Your main character does look a little bit stumpy and the combat moves are a little bit reflected there. But the game definitely has a bit of a vibe to it, and yeah, it's not bad. I mean, again, I wouldn't call it the most amazing 16-bit game, whether it's ST, Amiga, Mega Drive or SNES, but yeah, it looks functional. Although there are aspects of it which kind of harken back to almost the 8-bit era, and like I said, very Home Micro. Even though this isn't a Home Micro version, it's still a port of a game from that, or from a Home Micro. I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Sound and music.
Okay, so the sound effects are not all that great. They do what they need to do. They're a little bit sparse and I suppose almost a little bit muted. They're not a big aspect of the game. But the music is an absolute banger. Yes, that's banger singular. There is only one music track, but it is varied enough in itself for it, well, although it can be repetitive, you won't mind, it's that good. And once you're good enough at the game, beating it start to finish won't actually take all that long. But I really felt that the music carried the game extremely well, and is hands down the best aspect of the game. It is that good a tune. So what does that say about the
gameplay?
The gameplay is very Home Micro, and it feels a little bit 8-bit in some ways. Although the game does scroll, for the most part it's an almost flick screen adventure, with it largely being made up of smaller areas which are joined together by flick screen, similar to many Metroidvanias, I guess. And there is there is an exploration nature to it which is vaguely like some Metroidvanias. Essentially it is like a proto-Metroidvania, but that isn't really much of a stretch given its Home Micro origins, as Metroidvanias as a whole feel like they grew out of gameplay styles which developed on the Home Micros. Exploration is non-linear, as is progression. The combat, as I mentioned, is rather unusual. Given its origins, it started on a system which had a single button joystick. So it would have used up to jump and the fire button for combat. And combat essentially is pressing that button or holding it down to charge a meter. A quick tap will give you a punch, holding it a little longer will give you a head kick, Holding or filling the meter will give you a sweep kick or a crouch kick. It's not the fastest or most intuitive combat system ever, but the enemy movement and I suppose their AI and how it all works is tuned with that in mind. It's not a fast-paced action game. It has a very deliberate pacing. The controls do feel a bit stiff, but again, because the pacing is very deliberate, it doesn't matter too much, but it might be off-putting to some people, especially those raised on consoles rather than the home micros. There are weapon upgrades giving you ranged attacks as well as bosses, and you'll need to get the right weapons for the bosses, so learning the game is paramount.
Overall opinion.
Switchblade is most definitely not a game for everyone. It's not a casual pick up and play game. It's a slow, deliberate exploration platformer with a bit of action and great music. But for those that are willing to put the effort in to learn it and take the time with it, it's a surprisingly good game. And it will take you a while to beat, even if once you've learned it all thoroughly, you can beat it fairly quickly.
Ranking.
Placing it on my overall list where I rank every Evercade game ever, I've decided to put it above the Fairyland story, but below the Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy, placing it at 184 out of 379 games that I've ranked so far. Anyway, I think that's everything for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.